So, the Bulldogs, to me, they're 1B in the country. Yeah. Anybody have a sell proposition on Georgia Bulldogs, any facet of them?
No, I think both units, both sides of the ball, special teams, I just think they're solid. I think they're really solid.
Here's the two things. Go ahead, Hack.
Yeah, I think what separates them is their defense, and
unit is vicious.
It's not a situation where it's like a defense and then they can't pack a punch offensively, like Clemson has proven to not be able to do up until this point. They can score some points. They got some dudes on that side of the ball as well. So I think they're arguably the most complete team right now in terms of the ability to play complementary football, take advantage of turnovers, and then offensively also light up the scoreboard.
Strong argument. I like them. Veteran quarterback. I think they have the single best unit. Offense, defense, special teams. Their defense is the best unit in America, and that program is battle-tested. That's a battle-tested program. So let's go to Ohio State, where he seemed to be all with the Tide and the Bulldogs. Ohio State, Bryce Petty, are you buying or selling? Or are there some parts of it you want to buy and some parts you want to fleece?
I'm typically an all or nothing kind of guy, but because at the end of the day, it comes on wins. You can't sit there and split up offense, defense, and pick what you want. Ohio State is tough for me because I don't think that their defense is going to last at all. Once they get in the meat of conference schedule, how many times you got to put somebody put up 500 yards of offense on you. If you're number 3, 4, 5 team in the country, that can't happen. I mean, Tulsa had them for the better part of 3.5 quarters, really 4 quarters, and that was off of a loss from Oregon last week. So I'm selling Ohio State. I think that defense is poor, like really bad. I like CJ Stroud. I think he's going to be a good, really good. He's good now. I think he's going to be really good down the road. But I don't think they're going to be able to hang people. But they're going to be, 51-50.
Hat, can you buy the Buckeyes?
It's just hard because of their record, like their what they've done, their span of work over the past really decade. So I'm kind of like a hold on the Buckeyes right now. Like I said, I'm super high on my Nittany Lions right now in terms of being in the driver's seat in that conference, and specifically in the East. I agree with Bryce. I think historically bad defense, and also it's really weird that Ohio State hasn't been able to figure it out from a coaching staff standpoint too, in terms of putting these guys in situations to be successful and finding an identity and letting those kids play fast, because you still have athletes. Like, it's not like they don't have the personnel on that side of the ball. They got it.
Right.
I just think there's some hesitancy, and they're not playing with the speed and tempo that they need to play with, and the conviction they need to play with on that side of the football. That's my chink in their armor.
That's a maturation deal coming down the line. Usually teams with great programs and great history seem to mature and pull together. They've already gotten knocked out. They have zero room for error going through the year. They have zero room for error. And one loss may not even get you in this year. Let's jump here quick. Clemson, I'm going to start with you, Hack. Against the state of Georgia. We watched them against the Bulldogs early, and then we watched them today against Georgia Tech. They have 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They have no. That first game they lost 10-3. They didn't even score a touchdown. They have 17 points against the state of Georgia in 8 quarters. Buy, sell, or are you going to give them a hold with a little bit of grace?
Oh, no. It's just shocking to me. I mean, because of the way that DJ even played last year, like, you would expect this offense to be operating at a much higher clip. And, I'm selling them. I mean, I love their defense. I think their defense is fantastic. But that's only going to get you so far if you can't hold up the other side of the bargain. You know what I mean? you can't, like Bryce said, it's a team game. You can't hang your hat on one side of it. It may get you a win or two here and there in some tight games, but in order to do it consistently, you got to have both sides working together. And they're a sell for me right now. It's disappointing and hard for me to say, but they're a sell.
Bryce, according to the NFL prognosticators on the draft, top 50 draft prospects next year. And remember, DJ doesn't count because he's still got another year coming. They have 7 guys in the top 50. We know who they are. They've been in the national championship game 2 of the last 3 years. We know who they are. Why is there such a struggle for them just to get up and down the field and or close out games? If you didn't watch the Georgia Tech Clemson game today, Clemson up 14-8. Had to fight off a goal line stand by Georgia Tech at home with 15 seconds left to survive. Yeah. They were feet in their own end zone trying to stave off an Appalachian. That would have been an Appalachian State type win in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Bryce Petty, tell us why you buy them, Bryce. Tell us how much.
Oh, that's not even good grief, man. I can't buy Clemson right now. Look, what I wrote down, I know you guys can't see on these notes, but identity. Who are you? You're not Trevor Lawrence anymore. You don't have Goldilocks. Dabo Sweeney, this is what you get paid for. Brent Venables, this is what you get paid for, right? And honestly enough, this is what makes Nick Saban in a class of his own, and nobody talks about it. They just expect him to be number one. You realize, and people are seeing that. Ohio State is seeing that. They've lucked out with this, kind of this quarterback regime, that Justin Fields leaves, then CJ Stroud. For you as a program and as a coach, even as a unit, to break it down that far, to be able to put 11 guys on the field that can play together, play as one, execute is tough. You are circled every year. Georgia Tech circled you 8 months ago when they found out you were on their schedule. You have to be able to come to play, and no one cares if you're Dr. Pepper or not. And that's no hit on DJ, man. By all means, go get your stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about winning football games, and it's about executing. You threw for $125. Like, how is that?
That was his numbers today?
$126, 126 yards is what he threw for today against Georgia Tech. Now, I know that there was, weather delay and all that kind of stuff. And look, all that stuff that's life, man. Adjust. You got to be able to adjust. And again, who are you? Who is the identity of this offense? Because, Coach Venables is going to have that defense rolling. Who are you as an offense? You got to come to play.
Hack, to Bryce's point, they have no more margin for error. They're going to finish the season. They won't have another big, we don't think so. I mean, damn, we didn't think they're going to be scratching it out with 15 seconds left to get past the rambling wreck, but they win out. They win out. There are going to be 4 or 5 undefeated teams, you have to think, standing at the end of the year. They have zero margin for error, and they find themselves in the same hole as Ohio State. Zero room for error. And both fan bases will make all this noise at the end of the year, and they'll need help across the board just to get back into this dance.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it right now, like, they got South Carolina on November 27th. I mean, they got Wake Forest, UConn, Louisville, working backwards from there. Florida State, Pitt, Syracuse, Boston College, and NC State next week. Like, you don't have a chance to make a statement win to be able to rectify the Georgia loss and your struggles early on. Like, you don't have a chance to do that. Like, you're going to have to go out and blow these guys out and then win in the ACC championship in a convincing manner, whether that be
against
North Carolina. But that's my point, though. But my point is
again, Wake Forest program for the first time, fellas. We got to raise a glass. Beating Florida State. Probably for the first time since Eisenhower administration.
And to toss out Florida State since 1976, you've gone 0-3. That was Bobby Bowden's first year. How crazy is that? I read that stat and I was like, oh my gosh.
Crazy.
That's nuts, man.
Crazy.
The Knowles are 0-3. Boy, oh boy. All right, so let's now go to the Plains. We talked about the Roman Army, the Bulldogs, the Buckeyes, 0 room for error. Clemson, 0 room for error. They haven't been beaten yet, but our opinion of them has certainly been beaten up, and I'm talking about the Sooners. We all offseason heard about Spencer Rattler, rightfully so, a talent in his own right. Oklahoma, they got their dance card, their membership, so to speak, to the SEC. This is the year we go in and do X, Y, and Z. They're just barely getting by teams. They're just holding on to these programs, just trying to survive. A Nebraska program that got beat by Illinois comes to your house, and it takes every man, it takes every trainer, every secretary, every second of 4 quarters to get by Nebraska. Bryce, you said it earlier when we were watching games earlier. You said, who is Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Well, who are they right now, 3 games into the season? Are they the number 3 team in the country, first of all?
God, no. To your point, these are games where you're like 2s and 3s get in. Right. And that's what's crazy about it. Again, there's a lot of stuff that happened over the last, last year with COVID and then this year. So guys haven't been playing it's just been interesting. But your tune-up games they're tune-up games for a reason. Like, you're paying these dudes $2 million to come in and get their shit kicked in, and you're taking Tulane to the 4th quarter, winning by 5 points. Thank God for Western Carolina State, which is right next to, I think, Helen Keller State, to where you can put 76 points up and feel good about it. But then Nebraska comes in, they kind of amazes. I know they're 2-1, but they're not like they're. Outside of Larry the Cable Guy, I don't know anybody on that roster. I do take that back. I know that the quarterback is a Martinez guy because that's been like the last 15 years. But like oh my gosh, and all we heard about was Alex Grinch and this defense.
Yeah,
they were supposed to have the complete setup this year. They were supposed to have the defense that they've always wanted. Lincoln Riley is Lincoln Riley. Spencer Rattler, ever since the Texas game, was trending up like dang Apple or Tesla stock, and now all of a sudden it's what people are just supposed to lay down and win, but lose because you're Oklahoma. So I don't know who they are. But Big 12 does not care. I got to be honest. Hacks talked about the East over there in Big 10. We talked about SEC West. Right now, I'm nervous about what Big 12 is because, it was when Trevor and I were talking about it, it was Oklahoma, it was Iowa State, and then who? And now we're going, man, I don't know. It's going to be a fight. Yeah. It's going to be a dog fight.
Just two. Yeah.
Right. Hack, we talked about this a little earlier when we went down Cincinnati's resume. Cincinnati, and we rattled off all those teams. If they showed up at their B or B- game, could they get anybody above them? I changed my mind. They could get Oklahoma with the effort and or urgency they had today against Indiana. I think they could still get Oklahoma, only really because of how Oklahoma plays, how they go about business. Yeah. Is that remotely close, or do you think I'm just talking shit?
No, I think that's a fair statement. And at the end of the day, I think it's really hard for us because we've all been there. We've been through the ebbs and flows of a season. We've all been through that struggle of finding identity. We feel that, and we can empathize with that a little bit. But at the end of the day, you also have to take all that aside and sit there and be like, you are who you consistently show us you are, right?
Correct.
And Oklahoma has consistently showed us that they are not the killer family of 5 type team that everyone expected. And Spencer Rattler has not played like the Heisman frontrunner that everyone expected. And that defense hasn't played the way that it was expected to come into. So you get a leash, but once you start taking advantage of the fact that you have that leash starts getting retracted really quick. And to your point, George, they are still undefeated. Like, they still do control their destiny. They haven't had a loss. Thankfully, they've been able to kind of get by the skin of their teeth a couple of weeks here. But it's just I think there's too many other good teams right now that are putting together too good of resumes to sit there and say that they are a top 5 team in the country right now. They're just not.
So
I don't
so
even think
this
they're
is
top
what's
10
interesting. I know it. I love it. So this is what's interesting, right? Because you have Alabama at a lock.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have 3 teams that are fighting for 3 spots because Clemson's going to be out. If they beat, probably a 2-loss North Carolina team, I don't know what the heck happens in the ACC. I don't know. And then you have the Big 12.
I think you can lock Georgia. I think you can lock Georgia.
That's what I'm saying. I think so
you
too.
lock Georgia and Alabama, and then it's
there's 2 done.
Who's
and
done?
then what though? So because you have Pac-12, ACC, Big 12, and Big 10. So now you've got.
Do you have the Big 12 though? Really?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you say that Oklahoma continues to just beat people by 3 points in the last second, right? And then you have
case about legacy. They'll make a case about what we've done, who we've been, and then they'll point to the loss column having a 0. Forget about the style we got here, regardless. A 1-loss Buckeyes team or a 1-loss Oregon or an undefeated Oregon, undefeated Oklahoma for that last spot, Oregon gets it.
But here's the thing. Oregon runs the table and Penn State wins the East. It's over. I don't care
it's over.
It's over. It's over.
You think that's where it settles, Hack? Penn State runs it out. Oregon runs it out because they're on those paths right now. What about an undefeated Notre Dame team? They're going to have plenty of Notre Dame.
And they're going to have juice.
They got Cincinnati, Wisconsin.
They got a schedule.
Virginia Tech. They have enough real opponents to step up, knock out, and grow some. But that's not the same as winning a heavyweight conference like the Big Ten with Ohio State, Michigan State left, nor the Pac-12. I think they're going to give the Pac-12 a little push. Because I think college football is dying to see somebody west of the Mississippi, or especially
no doubt.
come on in there.